Hey everyone, Tim Moore here with Ice Team. I don't fish tip-ups a lot because I like to run and gun and I like to chase those fish down, especially when they're not moving. But we find a lot of days, especially on Lake Winnipesaukee when we're fishing for lake trout and white perch, when they're exclusively feeding on live bait. And here it's live smelt. And there are days that they will look at a jig and then eat a smelt. So if we're not running and gunning and the fish are being picky about what they want and they want live bait, I'll turn to tip-ups. And my favorite tip-ups have become these trophy thermal tip-ups from Clam. One thing I like about them is you can store them in a 5-gallon bucket, so I can fit 5 of these in a 5-gallon bucket. They're insulated, so they keep the holes from freezing, especially on those windy days. And they're just all around a really effective tip-up. I like it. I'm a fishing guide by trade, so I like the fact that when this tip-up is in a hole, if the fish is taking line, my clients and I can see it. If it's taking line, if it's not taking line, we know to wait and let the fish take it. And I'm just going to run through my setup real quick. On this lake, I like to run a size 8 hook generally. And I don't know if this leader is still 10 feet long, but they start out at 10 feet. They get shorter as the season goes. They get knotted. This one, I can feel a knot in this one right here, which probably should be replaced at some point soon here. And I'll run a size 7 split shot. That's as big as I'll go. What we find with these smelt, if your split shot is too big, it will hang down and hold that smelt in one place, which sounds like what you want it to do, but the trouble is the fish will end up swimming up and around your line and around and around and around. So I keep them small enough so the fish can actually pull that out a little bit, but not up. That's one thing that I found really important. Otherwise, you just end up checking it in an hour and it's a tangled up mess. I run about a 10-foot fluorocarbon leader. This is a 6-pound test line just because we do catch some lake trout on it. And then a swivel to my main line. And I believe this is just 18-pound generic tip-up line. And sometimes we'll use the Vexilars, but if you get some lively smelt, when you try to sound out your tip-up, the smelt will swim off out of the cone angle, and it takes a long time to get them set. So to speed things up, I just use a sounder. Clip that on the hook. One quick little tip for anyone who's never fished a tip-up before. It seems like kind of normal that you would want to clip that on the hook that way, but these can fall off, and all sounders are going to have a gap right there, and I actually hook my hook into that gap. That way it can't fall off. It doesn't take long to do it. It's not really much of an extra step, but you can go through a lot of sounders if you don't. Send that down to the bottom, and then you'll see partway down here is a button. I've just taken a regular button you can find at the craft store and just gone in one hole and then out another, and that button will slide up and down the line. So that's my line marker. That way when a fish takes it, I don't know how much line that fish has taken, but I know how much of it to reel back in because I've used that button to mark my depth. So I send it down to the bottom, and the nice thing is a lot of times you can just let it slide right through the button. And there's the bottom. And today on a cloudy day, these fish will come up off bottom a lot more. So there's my bottom there. I'll come up about 3 feet. Slide that button up. And then I can set my bait down there and wait it out. And then I can still do a little bit of hole hopping while I'm waiting for a flag to go up and drill a bunch of holes. We're in a big basin today, so I can drill out this basin and bounce around and find those fish. And we're using live smelt, and everybody has a favorite way to hook their bait. Some people like to hook them up through the lips. I go on a little bit smaller here. I like to hook mine in the back. I know they grab them by the head, but it seems to work pretty well for me. And I hook them right in front of the dorsal fin, just barely underneath. You don't want to spine them. If you spine them, the fish will be paralyzed and they can't swim. And then that fish can swim naturally down there in the bottom. And then back down he goes, or she. And hopefully flag will go up with a lake trout or white perch. And white perch love little small smelts, but when they hit these are a little bit bigger. When they hit these, it's generally a pretty big white perch. And the lake trout that we're cruising around here, we've had some lake trout coming in and chasing jigs, but they won't hit them. I'm pretty sure when they find these smelt, they will eat them. So now that I've got that down there, I'll leave that. I'll make sure the button is on this side of the metal thing there, so it doesn't get hung up. And one really nice thing about these tip-ups is on a windy day, if the wind is, say the wind is coming this way, I can hook that flag under there and put it facing the wind, and it is not going to get a wind flag. And if you do, you can always turn around and use the bigger side. And I've never had a wind flag on one of these tip-ups. But with lake trout, they're cruising around, and I don't want to set 2 or 4 tip-ups targeting the same fish. I like to spread them out. We get them spread out pretty far. And when you get a little bit of white light, like on a gray day like today, sometimes when there's some fog, it can be a little harder to see these flags. And so what I've done is I've taken just a black Sharpie and I've painted around the outside edge, and I've done an X on the back side. Makes them stand out against the snow really well from a distance, especially on a cloudy day like today. And another thing I'll do, because they're so far apart, sometimes you can't see them. So I like to be able to, I leave that flag standing up like that, and when the fish takes it, they come up nice and high. And then we can run over and catch our fish. One really important thing also on a cloudy day, on a windy day, is if it's really cold, I'll drill my holes one at a time. So I'll drill a hole, I'll set the tip up, because I don't want that slush around the hole to freeze, because I like to be able to press the tip up down into it. That stops the wind from blowing in underneath them, otherwise the wind will get under them. So I'll drill them one at a time on a cold day. On a day like today, it's not very cold. It's almost 40. So it's staying slushy, but we do have some wind coming, so I can get that pressed down in that slush nice and flat, and that will prevent the hole from freezing. Hopefully we catch ourselves some more big white perch. Lake trout and white perch are infamous for hitting a bait, carrying it out and letting it go, and then coming back and getting it. So when they're not spinning, I wait for it to start spinning again. And then come up straight. Don't let that line rub on the ice. Don't let the spool, sit the spool down, get a hold of that line, set the hook. And then line management's a big thing. If you have somebody with you that can wind that back in, that's good. If not, set it in a nice neat pile. On a windy day, let the wind kind of blow it not into your feet. You'll be happy when it comes time to wind this all back in. This feels like a white perch. And the thing with tip-up fishing is a lot of times your fingers are your drag. If a fish wants to take line, you gotta kind of determine based on the strength of your leader how tight to hold the line and let it slip through your fingers. But this doesn't feel like a huge one, so just saw the hole, whatever it was. White perch, you can see him down there. Might be a little bigger than I thought. It's a good one. Not a huge one, but nice one there. Pretty little fish. This is a really good size to eat. This size here, there's a lot of them, and the meat has a really good flavor to it. There's my smelt. Sorry, you didn't get the meal. So this is when these rubber dipped forceps come in handy, getting these hooks out, because they sometimes get them deep. You can usually see it. There we go, just like that. I'm kind of a stickler with tip-up fishing. When I remove a hook, I drop it in the hole. That way I know where it is, instead of laying it on the ice and can't find it. Alright, well, there's still some kicking around here and they like live bait, so I'm going to reset this and get it back down there.